Why would a policeman shoot at you? For trespassing.
Hello and welcome to episode 56 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Roivers. John is not with us this week, so I am joined instead by basically John's official stand-in, an understudy extraordinaire, a walking number two. It is Joypod host David Turner.
Why, I pet?
If you've not listened before, basically Dave and I have played a lot of games over the last week, and we're going to go through them, take it in turns, 10 to 1. The 10s are the games we played the least this week, the number 1s are the games we played the most, and that is it. Dave, let's do it.
Right, I'd start with Year Walk for iOS.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard about this?
Dave, John spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. It does sound interesting.
It is. Have you ever played a game where you just think it's above you? Like, you just think, I've got no chance in working this thing out. It's sort of a creepy point-and-click adventure, and it utilises touch controls really well, because usually with like touch control point-and-click adventures, you sort of hold down the side and the character walks along. It's not like that. There's a lot of swiping, and you swipe up and down to move in and out of the environments and stuff. It's really neat, but it's just, I'm looking at it and I'm just going, I have trouble with the most simple of puzzles. I had trouble with one of the hidden tombs in Tomb Raider. This game just really is so above me, it's unbelievable. And so I think I tweeted about it saying I'm really struggling with it, and they were saying download the companion app. There's a separate app to help you out with the game. I couldn't even work out what the companion app was doing. I couldn't work my way through that. I was like, this is all cryptic as well. Like, the actual guide is cryptic. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And although it's wonderfully stylized and it really, really freaks you out as you play, it's far too intelligent for me.
Oh, I didn't even realise this had puzzles in it. I thought it was this weird thing where you just constantly walk from place to place and there's a story unfolding. I didn't even realise it was...
No, I think it's the majority of the games. The whole thing's a puzzler. You have to... I've seen people tweet out pictures of like the notes that they make while they play the game, and I just think, how how are you doing that? I can't be. It's not detriment to the game. It's just not the sort of game that I should be playing because I'm thick.
All right, so are you not going to finish it, I take it?
Do you know what? I want to boot it up again because I sat in bed with the lights off and my headphones in playing it, and it really did creep me out. And I quite enjoyed that side of it, but I might need someone. I might need help. I might need like either a game fax or someone telling me what to do at every point. Because, as I said, my IQ is pretty low. But yeah, the creepiness, it gets spot on. It's well weird.
Well, it's £2, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, it wasn't expensive.
Yeah.
So, recommended if you're intelligent.
Okay. I do need to have a look at that because I've read so much about it that, I will check it out at some point. My number 10 is an iOS game also. It's called Shooter. I'm also...
Standard.
Yeah, I'm also a very bright person. So a friend of mine recommended this shooter that was he said it was reminiscent of old cave shooters. And it completely jumped out of my head, so I just stared at my phone for 5 seconds, then put in Shooter, and there's a game called Shooter. It's okay. It's in its ultimate dream. It's a cave shooter. It's just not that good. It's kind of... you can tell that it was made quickly and cheaply. It's free. It entertained me for 10 minutes. I mean, some of the enemies, their projectiles are really fast and you can't avoid them. And also there's a problem because if you're not a child and and you use your thumb, it's like the cave ports. You hold your thumb on the screen and move the ship around.
Yeah.
After a couple of minutes, enemies start coming from behind you, and most of your hand is obscuring that part of the screen if you're playing it on a phone. So you just end up getting fucked from behind. It's if you want to pass 10 minutes, it's all right. It's free.
But if you're not a child, you will probably get killed easily.
Get shafted from the back. Yeah.
Good. Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Number 9 then for me is Tomb Raider. I haven't played it too much over the past week, but I did stick it on. I've been playing a bit of the multiplayer because I'm trying to write up something about that. I was massively disappointed to hear that Crystal Dynamics went, nah, not doing any single player DLC.
They will. I bet they do.
I hope they do, but then surely the infrastructure of the single player campaign would have been like, because everyone was going, oh no, there'll be some new hidden tombs in the single player world, but unless they create a whole new hub, I can't see where they're going to fit in. Like, surely that it should be set up to be able to take these new tombs. I don't know. I'm not a games designer. I'm an idiot. We've established that. But yeah, it confuses me. But it's in terms of multiplayer, it's not very good. These sort of multiplayer games. My point is, you should be doing something different if you're entering the multiplayer sort of arena, and it does a few things different, but not enough. Like the big successful ones for me were Max Payne 3. I thought that had an excellent multiplayer, and Mass Effect 3, which had a fantastic multiplayer element, and they both did something a little bit different, a little bit new, and even they didn't sort of grab people's attentions for long enough. So what Hope in Hell was Tomb Raider got, when it is, it is a bit of a mess, a bit of a standard third person shooter, and the main problem with it is the cover mechanic in the single player game is fantastic because it's built around fighting against enemy AI. They put the same mechanic in the multiplayer, and it doesn't work against human opponents. It doesn't realise when there's an enemy near and duck behind cover. It doesn't really work in that environment, so it's a bit of a mess. I'm not really enjoying it, but that's a great shame that they even worked on it. But it's also, in terms of single player, it's also a world that I wasn't really ready to give up yet. So I've been going back doing these collectibles which haven't really been fun to pick up, but I just can't get rid of the world. I love that game so much that it kills me that I have to leave it behind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. No, I know what you mean. I mean, John said last week that he was kind of done with it, and he, as much as he liked it, he felt the game was disposable. And I think I couldn't agree with that any less. I think it should be celebrated because it is fantastic. But it is a shame about that multiplayer. I played it for probably about half an hour, and I was just like, this is not worthy of my fucking time. It's just tossed off. I'd rather that they spent used their resources in that time to do more campaign.
Yeah, more hidden tombs, bigger hidden tombs. Like, it's got some neat little tricks. I like the traps that you can set up. Both sides can set up traps, whether you're part of the survivors or the islanders. But that's about it. And even they're a bit crap because you can only set up traps at certain points. So once you learn the map and where all the traps are, you just don't go there, and then that's it. Oh, brilliant! I don't know. Why did they even try? I don't understand. It wasn't needed.
So didn't someone from Square Enix this week say that if you make a single player game, you're in fucking trouble because the only way to monetize and prolong the life of a game is with multiplayer? When that's not true.
No, it's not true.
So that's just it's a shame that it kind of tarnishes the package a little bit because it really is just slapdash and just shod, pure shod.
Pure shod. It's a shame.
It is. Okay, my number 9 is a game called DepthAttack on the Xbox 360. DepthAttack is one word. It's an indie game. As usual, the cover is what swayed me to pick it up. It looked like it was drawn in Microsoft Paint. No, you know what? Fuck that. It looked like it was drawn in fucking Mario Paint. It was just a blue grid with a spaceship on it, and it looked like it was designed by somebody who was probably about 3 years old. The game is the same. It's like if you imagine Space Harrier on a budget of like £1. It's hard to. It is. I spoke about a game a few weeks ago called Galactic Fortress, and there wasn't any assets in it. It was just shapes meshed together. And this is the same thing. Junk flies at you. There are a couple of bosses, and they're just circles, and one of the circles has an angry lion face on it, and it's just there's no feedback, visual or rumble or anything. You can't really tell when you're hitting or hitting anything or when you're being hit. It's the same as I said about Galactic Fortress. I was like, well done for making a game, but if you think people are going to pay for it, come back to Earth. And also, it's 240 Microsoft points, so
it's mental.
It was created by somebody who's not of sound mind, but so don't bother.
As a big fan of this show, why are you still playing these bloody indie games?
Because
I can't remember the last one that you said that's really good.
Well, Bleed. Fuck me, Bleed. Did you download Bleed?
I didn't download Bleed. I wrote it down probably like John did and said I'll download that later and never did.
That's not just the best indie game on Xbox. It's up there with the best of Xbox Live Arcade. It is stunning. Just if you have an Xbox 360 and you are listening to this, just download it. Bleed. Trust me. But yeah, I did. There is some enjoyment to be had in just playing shite.
Yeah, I know. If there's got to be someone listening to this that knows how to design a game like for Xbox Live Indie, and it can create a Chet and John game. It's got to happen, even just to see what the cover art would look like.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
What the hell would it be though?
I don't know. I don't know, just two blokes moaning about video games in a room, and I don't know, maybe you could chuck a grenade in or something.
Yeah, top seller. That sounds awesome.
Would be pretty good. My number 8 then is Grand Theft Auto 4. Remember that game?
Yeah.
I had this sudden need to. I watched that. There's a guy called Desmond who does some work for a podcast called Cane and Rinse, and he did a video about the multiplayer Grand Theft Auto 4, and I watched it and went, right, I'm ringing up my mate Matt and we're playing it, and we had a really good time, even though it was, it's really dated. It looks nowhere near as good as you think it looks. Like the visuals are pretty poor now by today's standards, and the controls are obviously really bad because Rockstar it's never been their strong point. But we had so much fun with it. We spawned in 2 separate places. We got in helicopters and tried to barge each other in the helicopters and tried to land on each other's helicopter midair. We went and we killed loads of civilians and got all the police after us, and then run into a titty bar and just shot the place up. It was a lot of fun, and I think I want to do it again, but with like just a huge group of people now. Just before Grand Theft Auto 5 comes out, that was so good to just add that in there, because that is such a good part of Grand Theft Auto, just running around blowing shit up, and it's even better when you can do it with a friend and then run into a strip bar. It's the best.
Did you? That was an obsession of mine when it came out. It was the fucking bee's knees. Did you play it just you two, or did you have other? Are people still playing it online?
We had we had randoms in there. There was a good 6 or 7. There was about 6 people in there, and one of them sent us a message over Xbox, a voice message. That's my favourite thing, when you jump in and you play with some random people. It only really happens when you play with a really old game, and then all of a sudden you get like a message pop up, and it says, "Oh, you've received a new voicemail," and it's just one guy, and he's always a little bit too far for his mic, and it sounds like this. Hi, we're looking for people to join our Grand Theft Auto 4 clan. If you'd like, please message me. And then it always like cuts out.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. You think, wow, there's a dude that's still creating clans in Grand Theft Auto 4. What a world. Love it.
Oh, bless him. I bet you he'll be playing that well until, he'll stick with it after Grand Theft Auto 5 because he think it's not as good as 4.
It's better.
Yeah. Okay, my number 8 is a game called Space Vixens. It's also an Xbox Live indie game, and again I picked it because of the cover art. The cover art is a pencil drawing or a painting, I can't tell, of a woman in a jumpsuit. It's not a bad painting. It was clearly drawn by someone who was quite young, I think.
You should do the cover art for every indie game you play now. That's it.
That's the way to do it, honestly.
Separate marks, 2 separate scores, one for the game and one for the cover art.
Well, the cover art gets a 10 because, as I said, it's a woman in a red jumpsuit. Yep. She's holding 2 ray guns and she's looking over her shoulder. It's like a classic pose, but her backside and thighs, like they could have belonged on Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime. So it's this dainty woman and she's got these muscly thighs and backside, and it's a great cover. Actually, the game is it's fine. It's just asteroids, but it's not junk. It's very playable, and it's not slick exactly, but it plays well. It's like I said, it's just asteroids, but some consideration has been put into sort of making it last a little bit longer. There's collectibles and that sort of change the fire that you use, but the different weapons only work. At first I was just picking up any weapon as they spawn, but some weapons are better for other enemies, and they come in different waves and stuff. It's perfectly fine. There's a weird, a very awkward sounding, very posh woman who has this sound bites over the top. So occasionally she'll say, "Lock and load. This sucks. Here they come again." Just sound bites like that, and it makes it seem a little bit chip shot. But it's fine. But if you want to play Asteroids for some reason, it's perfectly fine.
I don't want to play Asteroids, so I'll give it a miss.
Neither do I. But kudos for they put a little bit of work into it. Bless them.
Good. My number 7's Hotline Miami, because it come out for the Apple Macintosh computer finally. And it's what everyone said it was ages ago when it came out for the PC. I did find there was a few bugs. I don't know if it's in the PC version, but there was a few times where one of the enemies, I went to hit like an enemy with a baseball bat, I missed, and all of a sudden we were in exactly the same place, and he was trying to shoot me, but because the gun was pointing out and he was trying to run at me, but because I was on top of him, he was just sort of spinning around on a circle, I wasn't dying. And I thought, well, that's a bit weird, because everything else in this game is so polished. How could they let that slip through the net? But other than that, it's just so good. The soundtrack's brilliant. It's really addictive. It kicks your ass, but not in a frustrating way, because just one hit of a key and you're back in. It's fantastic, and it's about £3, I think, on Steam. So if you've got a computer that is, it doesn't even need to be up to date. It can be really, really old. It will play it. Give it a go, because it's really, really good fun.
Yeah, no, I had no idea it had come out on Mac. I don't know how I haven't heard that, but yeah, I've been waiting for a Mac release. So, but then again, John's convinced it's going to come out on like the consoles. So again, I don't know.
But I would suggest getting it on Mac, simply because, two things really. One, because you're more likely to use headphones. And the soundtrack really does offer you get lost in the music while you're playing, and it's one of those games where you sort of half the time you're just listening to the music and you're doing everything else automatically, because you get to a point in a stage where you're like, bust through that door, kill that guy, bust through that door, kill those two, wait here for 5 seconds, there's a dog coming. And because you do that over and over and over again, you get your movement down completely. You start listening to the music and you get lost in the game, and it's really a weird experience. Also, it's better to play with a mouse and keyboard, I think, because I tried playing it with a pad on the PC, and it just didn't feel as I don't know. You really need to aim, and you feel a lot more in control when you're using a mouse and keyboard, in my opinion. Brilliant game.
Yeah, I'll have to do that this week then, because I have been waiting for the Mac. They kept that quiet. I'm surprised I haven't heard anything about that on Twitter and stuff. I remember that the PC version had a lot of people who were just relentlessly anti it, because apparently there was loads of bugs at first. Do you think it's worth waiting, or are these bugs that you're talking about, are they not that prevalent?
No, they're not that prevalent. I think and not only that, you don't really get frustrated by them. Sometimes they help you out, so it's not like game breakers or anything like that. They didn't really bother me. I was just like, oh, right, there's a bug, but it wasn't really that much of a problem. But they mentioned the Mac version on Twitter. You just weren't paying attention.
Yeah, maybe that's true. Okay, well, I'm on the case with that. I'm going to sort that out.
Get it.
Okay, my number 7 is Black Knight Sword on the Xbox 360. It's a live arcade game. Have you heard of it? It's the Grasshopper Suda51 game.
No, I've not even heard of this one.
No, neither had I. John mentioned it, and then I was like, wow, I made a mental note, and I actually made good on it and downloaded the demo. It's really difficult, because I love Goichi Suda as much as anybody, but I only have so much leisure time, and this, aesthetically, it's just a triumph. It looks like, if you imagine what a Terry Gilliam game would look like, completely weird. There's really unpredictable music and stuff, but it's just a side-scrolling action game. Did you play Shadows of the Damned?
No, but I've been told I should.
Yeah, it definitely should. Absolutely. But there's these interludes that are side-scrolling, that very much like this. They owe a debt to this, to Shadow of the Damned, this game, definitely. And it's just platforming and combat. It's as old as the hills. It's like a sort of very, very weird Ghouls and Ghosts or something like that. It's the kind of thing that if I see it in a sale, I'll get it. I mean, it looks great. I mean, it's that Kamishibai Japanese paper theatre where everything, like with the lanterns and the sort of puppets made out of paper.
Yeah.
It looks so great, but it is just I'm reluctant to shell out and spend more time on it because it does seem like a game it doesn't seem essential. If I find it cheap one day, that's fine, but it seems inessential at the moment. And I've seen a lot of 6 out of 10s where they're like, yeah, it's good, but you've played it before, and I'm down with that. If I see it cheap, I'll have a look. But it looks incredible. Worth it.
If you're a fan, you're a fan, aren't you? So
yeah,
I mean, you'll probably get more enjoyment out of it than most.
Yeah, it's a stopgap. I don't think it's essential by any means. But then again, I've only played the trial, so who the fuck am I?
That's a shame. Number 6 is Night Sky for me, which is another iOS game, but I believe it's out on all sorts of things. It's Farley's Game Club game if you listen to Joypod, so you'll probably hear this twice this week. But I kind of really hate it. It's really good looking. It kind of takes a lot from Limbo, silhouettes and stuff. The controls work really well, surprisingly well. What it is, it's screen based. You roll a ball from one side of the screen to the other, but there are also secrets, there's obstacles and all sorts. You roll the ball by swiping left or right. There's certain levels where you can change gravity. There's certain levels where you've got to be really precise with the control of the ball, and you do that by holding your finger down and sort of just slightly moving it to the right, and the ball sort of follows your finger. The controls are fantastic, but it's just a bit dull. And there's this weird thing that when you come across a flaw with a game and you're sitting there thinking, am I doing something wrong here?
Yeah.
Have I not noticed something? I think I've got something with this. And what it is that there's a lot of bits where you can screw up and all of a sudden there's nothing you can do. Like you'll hit a bigger ball, the wrong direction, and it will fall off the edge and you can't get it back to roll in to make a bridge to go over to the next bit. But there's no retry button. You have to pause the game, come out to the main menu, go back into the stage select, and then hit that stage again. And it's like, and if you do it again, you're like, oh, fucking hell, I've got to go through this whole menu again. There should just be a little button that you just whack and there you go, restart. And I don't think there is, but I might have missed something. I don't know. But at the moment, it's really not. I'm really not enjoying it at all. I think it's being held up simply because of the art style, and the art style's nice, but it's not even unique. It's nothing we haven't seen before.
Yeah, the omission of that button sounds weird. It sounds like a weird oversight.
It really does make me feel like like they said at the start of the game, well, if you want to start again, just press 3 fingers down on the screen and it will restart, or something like that. And I've just gone, yeah, whatever, I missed it, and now I'm going to feel like an idiot, which I've done so many times in games before. I got all the way through what was that game, Fallout 3, without realising that you can line up 2 shots using VATS.
Oh my god!
Until the very, very last enemy, literally, which was just a normal guy just outside that chamber that you walk into right at the end of the game. Right, I'd been going through the game like with all these mutants and stuff, and it was lining up VATS, line up 1 shot, fire. Okay, right, line up VATS again, line up that shot, fire. Okay, do that. I've been doing that through the whole game up until the last one when I accidentally pressed the button and it lined up 2 shots, and I was like, proper facepalm moment.
Yeah, that's a hell of an achievement. Jesus.
Yeah, no, it's not even an achievement. Someone said that they completed. I think it was something like Resident Evil 4. They finished the whole game without realising there was a run button.
Oh god,
now, that's an achievement. Like the slowest game in history.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But was this free? This game?
Night Sky. No, it was 69p, I think.
Okay. So yeah, not recommended.
No, I mean, read up on it. A lot of people think it's good, so it might just be me, but I just find it tedious, and there's nothing really that special about it. I don't understand why it's getting the praise it's got, unless it's it changes drastically over the next few levels. I've still got to play it.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. All right, my number 6 is Need for Speed Most Wanted. Sorry to be boring. I've mentioned it way too many times. Have you played this yet? You've played it a bit.
We said we'd play it, but no, I've literally played it for about 12 minutes. Yeah, I've not got into it yet. It's not really. But then I think I've fallen out of love with racing games, sadly.
Okay.
So that sucks.
Well, I think you should give it one last shot, because I absolutely love it.
I'll play it online with you, so I'll do that. Definitely.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, it's basically my ultimate Sunday afternoon game. It's replaced it's in the same way that Burnout Paradise was. There's just nothing. Me and my girlfriend every Sunday for the last few Sundays we've hooked up online and we've just driven around picking up collectibles basically, and it's so entertaining. But something really funny happened the other week. We were playing an online speed list where you do all manner of things. You do races and speed tests and challenges and stuff. And there was this challenge where we all had to get up onto a rooftop and just run the clock out. The more of us up there, the more time ran out. So the goal is to get all 8 of you up onto this roof and then just sit there for like about 60 seconds. The only 2 people that could do it were me and this other guy. And we got up onto the roof and then we just sort of parked up next to each other. And it's a weird thing, but I love that about Most Wanted because it's kind of like you start thinking about it in the real world. It's like there's 2 cars next to each other. If this was the real world, we'd get out of our cars and be like, all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were forced to use everyday cars, so nobody else could get up onto this roof. But then this guy sent me a friend request, and I checked it, and it wasn't a guy at all; it was a girl.
Oh.
And yeah, basically, I was winding up my girlfriend the whole time. So there was an instance where this girl and my girlfriend were first and second. I was like, I don't know who to root for, and she was getting really wound up. Not really wound up. It was all in jest, but it was really funny. And then she got annoyed because we were doing a team race where it's 4v4, and rather than take her down, I just passed by, and she drove up and took this girl down, and then she started realising there was a vendetta against her, and then it's emblematic of what that world is like, where these strange vendettas start appearing, and then they disappear because someone else becomes the villain and stuff. It's just funny as hell and just great. I love it. We do have to hook up online because you can't miss out on it.
You're such a player.
I know. Do you know what I mean? What was her name? I remember her name.
You absolute scumbag.
No, her profile was just. I think it was Jennifer. I think that was it. But yeah, she's.
No, it was a woman. What's the matter with you?
What are you talking about?
I thought you said that you were parked next to her for a while and thought she was a bloke.
I did, yeah. That's just a lazy assumption of mine, but yeah, it was.
If her profile was Jennifer, isn't that a bit of a giveaway?
No, but I wasn't looking at her profile. I just was next to someone. Sorry, not. If you clicked on her profile, it just said Jennifer from wherever she was from. Her name was something weird. I can't remember, but yeah.
Lost in time, man. Lost in time.
Yeah.
My number 5 is Hitman Absolution.
Oh yeah.
Which is just not clicking with me. I can't get into it. I've been playing a lot of games recently that I can't put down. Like, I really love just playing into the early hours, and I feel really disappointed to turn off my consoles to actually get some sleep. And this isn't one of them. I can happily play this for about 15 minutes and go, yeah, I'm kind of finished with this for a bit, and then pick it up the next week. There's just something about it that's not quite clicking. I think it's because in my own head, I'm thinking I should be doing this in a certain way, and when I die, I think, I'm not doing it in that way that it wants me to, and so what's the point? I don't, it doesn't feel like. Take Dishonored, right? Dishonored was primarily a stealth game that if things went to hell, you could battle your way out of it.
Yeah.
With Hitman Absolution, you can do that to some extent, but you die a lot more, and there's a lot more foul missions and stuff, and I kind of think, I'm not digging this. Also, there's no real rule set between each level. Why would a policeman shoot at you for trespassing?
Yeah.
That makes me annoyed. The other thing that annoys me is that if someone sees you in one part of the map, sometimes, like I did one level the other night, and I saw a policeman down an alley, and he tried to arrest me, and I beat him up, and I put him in a bin. And I was fine. I did that in another level, and the moment he arrested me, the police force in that level knew who I was after that. And I was like, well, that's not logical compared to what I've played before. There needs to be a fucking rule set that I can work to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not completely grabbed by it at the moment, which is a shame. But then it's my first Hitman game, so maybe it's different for me.
Yeah, it's not really a Hitman game. That's the thing. I understand why people hate it, because it does shift the goalposts all the fucking time.
Yeah,
and it's a little bit sleazy, just the atmosphere of it, and to be honest, the first few Hitman games, they're about being a hitman. There's a lot of fucking missions. You don't kill a lot of people really. You're not really going out and sort of executing hits, which is what made the first lot of games so great.
Yeah, there's weird bits in between, isn't there? That's the other thing. We're going back to the rule set thing. Like when it first started, it was here's the mission, here's the end of the mission, here's how you got on. Yeah. Here's the mission, here's the end of it. And then all of a sudden it tied about 5 missions together. And I'm like, okay, so when's the end bit? When do I get my mission status or whatever? All of a sudden I'm walking through a train and all sorts of shit like that. And it seemed as if, I don't know, it just seems not really well thought out or logical. Which is odd for a game that's supposed to be about one of the most logical and mechanical men in the history of the world.
Yeah, it's a fucking funny game. I remember I liked it a lot more than some people, but because I think it does open up. Whereabouts are you? What part of the game?
I can't even. I've got to kill 3. I've just done a bit where you kill 3 hitmen on in Chinese New Year.
Oh right, okay.
In Chinatown, yeah.
It's
still relatively early, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, it simultaneously gets more annoying and considerably better as it goes on, because there are more missions where you're doing a lot of fucking rubbish, and then there are also bits where it does broaden out and you're free to explore a bit, and there are different ways to do things, which makes it more reminiscent of the earlier Hitman games. But I know why people hate it, but I think it does get better if you're going to stick with it. It's definitely better later on.
I don't think it's terrible. It's just not really grabbing me.
Yeah.
But it's made me laugh a lot. I'll tell you that. It's got some funny moments in there.
Well, you're talking about that big Danny Trejo giant bloke who looks like a bull on hind legs.
There's just who's that? The main enemy guy.
The guy with he's got a henchman who looks like a bovine. I mean, he's got a cowboy hat. It doesn't even look human. It's trying to be realistic, and then you have this fucking walking cow with a cowboy hat.
I kind of like that though. I kind of like the fact that it's just silly like that. It's got these stupid weird moments, but then it does get very serious. Like when you're backstage at the strip club, and you're hearing one of the strippers sob about how she's being forced to do something she doesn't want to do, and they're all like, "Oh, keep your chin up. You just got to do it, otherwise, the alternatives work." And I'm like, don't try and pluck at my heartstrings now after you've had like all these girls say all this weird stuff to me, and it's a little bit, if you're going for comedy, do comedy. If you're going for emotional realism, then do that. Don't try and mix them, because then it gets a little bit distasteful.
Yeah, it was. I did come away feeling like I needed a shower after I played it, because it's sleazy, some of it.
It is.
But at the same time, I quite liked it, so I don't know what that says about me.
So it was a nice sexy shower.
There you go. Yeah, exactly right. Okay, my number 5 is Halo 4.
Love it.
Yeah, a friend of mine got in touch and he was like, "Hey, should we play some Halo?" And I was like, "You know what? Fuck, I haven't played Halo in ages." We stuck it on and we did a bit of multiplayer, and I'd just forgotten. It is a fantastically polished product. It's so
the best, isn't it?
It's so slick. It's so fun. I mean, it's refined as well. The way they implemented all of those new armor abilities and stuff, it all works.
Yeah.
It's all really good. The only issue I had really was like matchmaking is starting to bother me quite a lot, and I know it's dependent on so many things like how many people are playing and whereabouts they are. And this happens in Battlefield as well. There are some times where you get ranked against people and you're just like, I don't want to play with people like this, because Battlefield, I've played more Battlefield 3 than any human being should have done, and I'm not even rank 50. So when you get to people who are rank 100, you're like, I don't really want to, thanks. I'd rather. So it's annoying that there is no way to filter out those bloody scumbags.
But don't you find it less so with Halo, that it's not as frustrating? Because I feel exactly the same about Battlefield. But then when I played Halo, I didn't mind dying because I found it quite funny, because it's a little bit comical, and sometimes it's a bit of luck on their part, and that's all sort of understood. And when I see my body sort of just stiffen up and fly across the scenery, I just giggle to myself. I just think it's a lot less stressful.
I know. I definitely know what you mean. We might have just had a bad night. Me and my mate kept getting ranked on. I didn't know they put double team in there, which was fucking great. I mean, it was not great for us, but double team has always been my favourite Halo game. Halo 2, double team, capture the flag on lockout. One of the best things you can do.
What's double team? You've completely lost me there.
2v2.
Oh right. Oh no, I've never done that in my life.
Oh, you need to.
I'm not kidding.
It's so good. I mean, that's some of my fondest gaming memories of doing double team on Halo 2. But it's on there. But basically, we had a terrible night. Me and my mate we were in this game of. I can't remember, it was a standard deathmatch, I think, and we were playing against a team of guys, all of whom were rank 120, and one of these guys the game of Halo 4 as it is out of the box clearly bored him so much that he'd invented his own minigame within it, and that was that armor ability where you shunt really quickly from, it's basically a dodge move. You can move left, right, forward, back. He'd decided that he wanted to play the game by doing that all the time, and it takes about a second. Between A and B, in that 1 second, he'd snipe people in the head.
Wow.
And you're just like, I'm a little bit out of my fucking depth here. So the score at the end was absolutely, I mean, it was unreal. It was like no kills versus however many hits to win the match. It was ridiculous. So yeah, as much as I admired it, I think it's one of those games I've left alone too long, and now I can't really go back to it.
Mate, it's really not. Try it again. It sounds like you were really, really unlucky with a room there. It really does, because the majority of the games that I was playing, I wasn't finishing top, but I was holding my own, and it's just I love that game so much. They did such a good job with it.
Yeah, they did. No, I agree with you. It's just that, I mean, the problem is that everything always goes back to Battlefield. So, but I'm going to keep hold of it, and yeah, we will play it again. I'll just hopefully we don't run into those guys again.
Cool. My number 4 is it's John's fault. I had no interest in buying Hitman Absolution. No, Hitman Absolution.
I was going to say, what?
Bioshock Infinite. I had no intention of buying it. And then I listened to last week's show, and I instantly went out and bought it. And I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
I'm like 2.5 hours in, so I'm really, really early on. But if it carries on the way it's going, this is going to be my Half-Life 2. And I'll explain why. I didn't really play Half-Life 2 when it came out. In fact, actually, I only completed it last year. I sort of played it a few years ago, got halfway through, and then just finished it off last year. And I know that people adore that game and that world so much. I played Bioshock 1, I played Bioshock 2. I liked the first hour or so of Bioshock 1. I didn't really get on with the rest of it. Bioshock 2 I didn't think was much cop, so I didn't really get into it. So that's why I had no interest in this game. Now, I booted this up, and as you know, the first half an hour, 3/4 of an hour of it is just wandering around this world. Yeah. And oh my God, my heart melted just soaking in the surroundings, and then the combat starts, and the way the combat starts punched me in the face like out of nowhere, and I loved it, absolutely adored it. And then once you meet your companion throughout the game, that's it. She feels like a Disney character. She's so well written, and so I mean, they were definitely going for that. You could tell by the way she reacts to things, and when she sees you in combat for the first time, it's just amazing. And if it carries on the way it's going, it is literally going to be my favourite game of this generation. Wow. I just hope it keeps it up, because I'm literally speechless. It's incredible. It's an incredible video game so far.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I mean, I think I'm approaching I think I'm probably approaching the final third of it. I'm absolutely adamant that I'm not going to rush it. So I'm continuing to stay away from spoilers and stuff like that. And it's so hard, because I want to recommend it to everybody, because it's frankly unbelievable. I'm surprised that John compared it to movies last week when he spoke about it, because I think it feels more like a great book. It's, because it drip feeds information to you, and it's completely unencumbered by structure. You never know what's coming next. It doesn't have an action scene here, insert an action scene there. Sometimes there are stretches of it where it only does what it wants to do. There's a lot of narrative, there's a lot of action here, and then it's never predictable. Yeah, I like everything about it so far. I mean, I haven't finished it yet, but it's taken my breath away repeatedly.
It doesn't help when you come, I've sat and played Tomb Raider. I was like, this is my game of the year. This is amazing. Recommend it to everyone. Now I'm playing Bioshock, and I'm like, forget Tomb Raider. Yeah. This is even better. And then I recommend that to people, and they're like, yeah, all right, shut up now. Stop telling us games to buy. But I mean, I could see where John was coming from comparing it to films. I think it's a very simple story with a lot of depth to it. But I personally believe that it couldn't be done in this story couldn't be done in a film as well, or a book as well. It feels like it's had a touch of Valve, you know. It reminds me a lot of Portal 2, to the point where there's a story there, but you could miss a lot of it. But the more you look, the more you explore, the more you find out about the world you're in, and the faults behind the leaders in the world, and the enemies and stuff. And it's well, the weird thing is with these sort of games, I like to go and have a little look around. Even with Portal 2, I like to go and have a little look around, but I'm not really compelled to. You know what I mean? If I cross a bit of story, I'll look into it, but if not, you know, oh well. Whereas this, I absolutely every single one of those little videos that you look at through the iPads, I've watched every single one, some of them twice, so I make sure I didn't miss things. I've read pretty much every fucking sign, even the ones that are like open, this store's open, I've read that. I just want to read everything and find out everything. I absolutely adore it. Does it keep it up?
It does. It's like Mary Poppins' hat. It's just, you think that...
It just keeps bringing shit out.
Honestly, it just keeps coming up with stuff. And there are moments that... And I'm so glad I kept away, because it would be so detrimental if you'd heard about where it goes, because you never... It's such a pleasure to just be completely shell-shocked by something like, what? It's going in that direction? What?
If someone told me what happens at the 45-minute mark...
I know what you mean,
the 45-minute mark... I'd have been fucking furious.
Yeah.
So the fact that I experienced that myself, and even as it was playing out in front of me, I was going, what the fuck was that? What the hell's going on there? Oh my God! It was just so well done. And that's the disappointing thing. I want to tell everyone about it, but I want them to experience what I did at that very moment, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've said I'm in the same boat as you. A lot of my friends, I've said to them, look, I can't stress this any more. Just fucking buy it. But I've said that again. It's like you. I think I probably said it in the same tone of voice as I did about Tomb Raider. But this is just it's a different class. If it, I mean, I've got another few hours left to go. But if it maintains the same level of quality, it is a landmark, like John said.
As I say, going full circle. Half-Life 2 will set the boundaries for first-person shooters. This feels as important as that game so far. Again, I can't stress it enough. I've only played 2 hours of it, but this so far feels as important and is the first real proper glimpse into what next gen can offer. Oh God, I want to tell you about the thing that the companion can do. I don't even want to talk about her too much, but the thing she can do is just fucking incredible. One question for you: you playing 360?
Yes.
Did you change your control setup? Because I did today, and it's made it a billion times better.
What have you changed?
I didn't like the standard the default control setup, which is right trigger shoot. Left trigger is your special abilities, and then what is it? Right bumper and left bumper is change weapon and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. That's right.
And if you wanted to use iron sights, you had to click the right stick in, like as if you were using a sniper rifle in Call of Duty games or whatever that is. I changed it so they've got one called Marksman, and what that does, that changes the left trigger to be the iron sights, and it makes the combat a million times better. It really does, because I thought the combat was like the weakest part of the game, and then all of a sudden I've got my iron sights where I'm used to them, I've got my swap weapon where I'm used to them, and the special abilities are in buttons that I don't usually use, so it's not too jarring, and it's opened up the combat for me completely. I can aim now, which is lovely.
But you play Halo. In Halo, looking down iron sights, just click the right stick.
I do, but when I play Halo, I never use iron sights, because it's not really iron sights, is it? You go into that sort of visor thing, and I never use that when I play in Halo. I like to get up close and just hold down both triggers. Whereas on this, it's the only bad thing is that now the melee attack is you click the right stick in, which isn't as handy as hitting the Y button, but it's still, I recommend that for people that are not used to playing the Bioshock games and are used to playing a lot of other first-person shooters. Put it on Marksman because it's a big improvement.
Okay, I didn't have that problem at all, but then again, I play. I sort of adapted my game of Halo. I
suppose that's a good transition, isn't it, from the usual ones to Bioshock.
Yeah, and swapping your attributes, swapping your weapons and your powers on the bumpers, I thought was great. I'm zipping around like nobody's business, and just in the combat, it's phenomenal. Incidentally, if you think there might be some people listening to this or who've read reviews of Bioshock Infinite and they think that maybe it sounds a little bit high-minded or something, first of all, it's not.
No,
because it's above everything else. If you want to ignore everything that it does apart from the action, you can, and you'll have a phenomenal time, because the action is just, the combat is just phenomenally entertaining. If you've seen that you can fly around the world on these rails that sort of carry carriages, it's basically like jumping on and off a speeding train, and when you can implement that into the combat, fucking hell, it's just it's something else entirely.
It feels like, talking about the story, it feels like a Disney film with adult themes, if you know what I mean.
I know, yeah, sure.
Because it's a simple tale, it's a simple story, but challenges a lot of adult topics.
Yeah.
And that is an incredible achievement from a video game. I woke up this morning because I'd stayed up late and played it, and I said to my wife, let me just tell you about the beginning of this game, and it confused her why this game was even talking about this stuff, especially considering how dark the story is compared to how bright and cheerful the visuals are.
Yeah.
It's one of those games that when you're not playing it, it's all you want to do is get back on it. Yeah. And when you close your eyes, all you can see is the world. You can see the bright lights, the bright sky, bright blue sky, and the clouds and the fans. And Jesus Christ, buy it! Just buy it, please.
You do need to. It is essential, genuinely essential.
Yep.
And some of it's chilling as well. I won't talk about it. Look, just play it.
No, it's how hard is this? It's ridiculous. Well, it's like trying to describe The Walking Dead to some people, you know.
Yeah, but it's only because we don't want to spoil it, and that would be terrible. I mean, at some point down the line, me and John will probably talk about it, and just throw caution to the wind with regards to spoilers. But if you can play first-person shooters, if you enjoy first-person shooters, it is essential.
Yep.
Okay, right. My number 4 is Gears of War Judgment on the Xbox 360.
Hello.
Yeah, you haven't tried this?
No, I've played through all the Gears of War games, and I've always really enjoyed them. But this sounded like Gears of War Lite, and I was like, well, I still play Horde mode on Gears of War 3, so I can't see the point in buying it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's got the air of something that I could probably, in this day and age, bearing in mind some of the expansions that we've seen. I mean, most notably, as John said, I think he said at some point the Rockstar additions to Grand Theft Auto 4, which they are the benchmark. Part of me thinks they could have whacked this as an add-on for Gears of War 3 and charged, if not 1,200 Microsoft points, then maybe 1,800, 2,000, something like that, because it does feel half-formed. I haven't played the campaign anymore, but it's so... Halo ODST is a great comparison point, because then it's not a proper sequel, it's not even a fully formed game as you'd expect, but I mean that was cheaper than a normal game. This isn't. It's a good product. It's the ultimate 7 out of 10 game, but the only good thing about it is what I've been playing all this time is Overrun mode, which it's so good that I'm tempted to say it's worth buying the game for. It blatantly isn't, because it's not. But again, if it was DLC for Gears of War 3, you'd have all of the maps from that rather than just the ones that are included here. But as I said last week, it's just Battlefield's rush mode in Gears of War, and it's so ridiculously, laughably intense. It's stressful, but brilliantly so, because you have less people, and it's one of the most intense multiplayer game modes I think I've ever played in my life.
Really?
It's laughable sometimes. Honestly, if you imagine, it is, as you know, it's Rush in microcosm. it's that stress of an attacking force coming to just destroy something, and they can do it bit by bit, or they can just assault you at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
And if you're not all the right classes and you haven't got enough of the right people that you need, you're fucked. So you're constantly communicating, I mean, I think it's genius. As much, despite the fact that it owes almost everything to Battlefield, it's invigorating. It's made me feel great about Gears again. Although I turned it off when something happened to me that's happened to me over the course of the last few years. I dread to think how many times I walked up, pop, guy waiting there hiding with a shotgun.
Oh, right, yeah.
And there's something about that I was just like, I can't do this anymore. They've got next gen. If they do another Gears, they will. But they have to change something about that, because the fact that you can just hide and instant kill somebody completely invisible is just so knackering. I'm just like, I can't do that anymore. But aside from that, it's really cool. If you really are a Gears fan, you will enjoy it quite a bit. Everyone else, I'm not so certain it's worth £40, so it might be worth waiting.
I've got a feeling that'll drop pretty quickly.
Probably.
And I know a good group of people that when there's a bit of a lull in the video games that are coming out, that will jump on board, definitely.
Yeah.
But there's no way I was paying £40 for that.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, but if there's you and 4 or 5 mates, 3 or 4 mates, sorry, you will be spoilt by Overrun. It's fucking cool as hell.
Cool. All right then. Well, my next one is Little Inferno on the iPad. Have you heard of this one?
Didn't somebody mention this on Joypod like last week or the week before?
I did, yeah. James mentioned it. It's it's on iPad, PC, and it's on the Wii U as well, but it's really expensive on the Wii U. It's only like £3 on the iPad. Get it, I think. It's this weird. It's not really a game. It's sort of a play thing where you've got a fireplace and you chuck things in the fireplace and you burn things up. And it's a satire game. It's got a lot of hidden meanings to it that become more and more obvious towards the end. It's got this thing where you need to create combos of things to burn up together in order to earn points and stamps and all sorts. It's a very interesting looking game. It goes on a little bit too long because it has an ending. It's about 3.5 hours long, and that's probably an hour too long, I think. It did get towards the end. There was a lot of waiting around for things, because you get these catalogues and you order from a catalogue for things to burn in your little inferno. But whenever you order something, it takes a while for it to arrive, and the time it takes for them to arrive increases per catalogue. And by the end, you're waiting a good 3 or 4 minutes doing nothing, waiting for things to arrive, which is a bit of a pain in the arse. But there's a reason to that. That's it's part of its social commentary, if you want to call it that. And it has this really weird ending, which is completely not what you'd expect from the game that you'd been playing for 3 hours. It's interesting, just maybe a little bit too long, but definitely worth the £3.
Isn't it sadistic about death or something? I remember something about a school bus. Is that right?
It's kind of sadistic, yeah. It's got some really weird stuff where it's got these toys that you can order, and the toys they seem more human than toy. So you'll order an old granny, and it'd be like an old granny toy, but when you put it in, she's like, making noises, and then she screams when you set her on fire, and like it sort of all melts away and stuff. So yeah, it's really horrible, but there's reasons for that. You've just got to play it through, really. And once you do, search on YouTube for people's theories on the ending, because although they were very similar to mine, to what I thought it was about, it did point out a lot of shit that I'd missed. So yeah, give it a go. It's definitely worth it for 3 hours. For £3, sorry.
And it's like a tenner on something on Wii U.
It was a tenner on Wii U. I think it's gone down to $4.99 now. I can't imagine playing it on the Wii U. I played it when I was in bed, just about to fall asleep. I'd put in about half an hour to an hour a night in bed on my iPad with my headphones in, and that's, for me, that was the perfect way to play this game. Yeah, that's how I played it. So I can't imagine playing that on the Wii U.
Yeah, that's weird, because any opportunity for almost every type of game, I'd rather play it on a console. But I suppose it was originally built for iOS, wasn't it?
I assume so. I'm not too sure. It's not out for the iPhone, which I find really strange because it'd be perfect for that as well. I mean, obviously it'd be a lot smaller, but there's no reason why it can't be on the iPhone. But yeah, no, trust me, it's a lot better on the iOS, I think, anyway, because it's just, everything's there. It's easy to use, and when you're waiting for something to arrive, you can flick over to Twitter and chill on that for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Cool. Okay, well that sounds intriguing, definitely. All right, okay, my number 3 is Battlefield 3. I have no notes at all on it. I have nothing to say about it.
I played it.
Did you?
Put that in. Yeah, I downloaded all the stuff, and I played the snow level of Endgame.
Oh, Sutherland Pipeline, yeah.
I thought it was really good. I really liked it. I've remembered how much I love it, just running around healing people in that game. I mean, I like the shooting and stuff, but as you said, as John was saying, you feel a little bit left behind now. Everyone seems to have got, gone to the next few levels above me in terms of the shooting. So I spent a lot of time running around healing people and then just popping off a few shots and getting the odd kill here and there, but mainly healing people around my base. It was good fun. Yeah. Battlefield is incredible, and I assume you've seen the trailer today for Battlefield 4.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it fucking pissed me off. I mean, hype. No one fucking cares about the campaign. Nobody. Precisely
no,
zero people. Zero.
They don't, but a lot of people cared about the look of the thing, and it certainly showed that off well.
I mean, yeah, it does look stunning. I mean, it won't look anything like that on the consoles. Although, if they manage to sort of make that new engine work on the old generation of consoles, that would be an incredible. Even not to the same degree that it looks in that video, but
what makes you think it won't look like that in consoles, man?
They don't have the fucking oomph. It's. I mean, the thing is,
I'm talking like PS4 and Xbox here.
Yeah, they haven't even confirmed those yet. That's the thing. At the moment, they're just launching it on 360, PS3, and PC. But they said that something to do with the PCs that were running that game as it was being played were in line with next gen, which we haven't seen yet. So it will come. I mean, I said this. Someone asked me the other day. They were like, "Is it going to be next gen?" I said, "I bet they bring it out to the current generation of consoles, and then they just bring them out slightly later for the other gen, so you can upgrade."
Here's my prediction: at E3, it will announce to be a launch game for either the PS4 or the Xbox.
It will probably be the Xbox because they've announced that there's going to be some kind of new partnership between EA and Microsoft, similar to the COD thing that's been ongoing.
Yeah.
I think it's this is the first. I mean, I've spoken about it almost every episode we've ever done of this podcast, but this is the first time I've got no notes. I've played it plenty, but I'm there's only so many times I can say the same thing. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah. My number 2, then, you'll be happy to know, is FIFA 13.
Jesus, you're still playing that?
I picked it up for the first time in a while, actually, this week. And popped back into season mode and fell in love and hated it all over again. It's brilliant. It's the best football game on the market, in my opinion. I know some people are saying PES is better, and it's better than it was. It's not better than FIFA. I just got really angry with certain things. Absolutely battering someone and them getting a last-minute goal. But then I had amazing moments where I was 1-0 down with 10 minutes to go, and I got 2 last-minute goals, and then all of a sudden it becomes the best game ever again, and I'm jumping around the front room. Not many games get me jumping around the front room like that. FIFA does. Brilliant. So that's that.
Okay. I think FIFA is a jaw-dropping prospect, and I love FIFA 13 a hell of a lot, but I prefer PES, although I haven't played that in a little while, so make of that what you will. Okay, my number 2 is Luigi's Mansion 2 Dark Moon, or Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, whatever.
Jesus, I want this game so bad, but then Bioshock come along.
Well, get shot of Bioshock, finish that, and then because if you have a 3DS, you need this game. I said it last week. I hadn't played a whole bunch of it, but I've played. I'm basically. I say I haven't finished it, but I am at the fucking end, the very end of the game. So yeah. I'm sort of qualified to speak about it. If you have a Nintendo 3DS, you need it. It's essential. It's the best Nintendo game in recent memory, as good as the last two Mario games have been. It's just fucking phenomenal. I mean, I'll just reiterate what I said last time. It's unbelievably charming. The gameplay is unbelievably refined. It's a pure joy in video game form. The only issue I have with it, last week I said that there was a problem with the gyroscope, but that's completely not applicable because I got used to using the buttons. You can use the buttons. I didn't realise that at first. The save structure is really curious, and I don't quite know why they've done it the way they have, because you can't save mid-mission. You can only do each mission. I'd say each mission at the beginning, they take about half an hour, providing you don't get lost. And later on, they take around about an hour. But there's so much exploration, and you're encouraged to explore and find stuff. And there's this dark light device torch head which you put on, which reveals hidden air. And there's so many secrets in this game. It's crazy. So it doesn't really feel like a handheld game because you literally can't save mid-mission. So there was one instance where I got, when I spoke on the last week's podcast, I got probably about 45 minutes into something that was supposed to take an hour, and I just couldn't find a door. And I quit out thinking that it would save all the stuff that I found, all that stuff. It didn't, and I had to go and do it all again. And that's quite a lot. That's quite a chunk of game to go and do for a second time. So it doesn't really properly feel like a handheld game. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, because at the end of the day, if you're like do 20 minutes on like a bus or a train ride to work, and then you shut the 3DS and the battery's got enough power in it, that's fine. You can continue afterwards and stuff. But if you don't have enough power, you're going to lose all of that progress. It seems crazy that a handheld machine can have such an oppressive save structure where you can't. If you know, hey, you could be playing for an hour, the battery could die, and that's everything fucking gone. And that seems a little bit old school. But apart from that, it's fucking stunning. I don't know who localizes Nintendo games, Japanese Nintendo games. I'll assume it's one person for the sake of argument, but it feels like an English game because of how well they've localized these characters. Some of the catchphrases that come up and stuff. It feels really English and sort of idiosyncratic and. Strangely British, but god damn it, it's fucking great. I mean, the only thing is, you don't like spiders, do you?
I can't stand the bloody things.
I hate them too, and there's a hell of a lot of spiders in the second act of this game. I mean, like,
why are games developers doing this all of a sudden?
I don't know. It's not all of a sudden. This is since games have existed.
Yeah, but I suppose because now it's more realistic or in 3D, they're getting worse. Like, I really wanted to give Skyrim a go, and I've never played a game like that. You know, I'm not into dragons and stuff like that. There's spiders everywhere, and then people go, "No, they're the most realistic spiders in every video." I'm not playing it then. Just not playing. Forget it. It's not happening.
I know, I'm the same as you. I mean, the spiders in this are quite cute. That's another thing. I'm a grown man. The word cute, I shouldn't use that to describe anything, but you can't help it when you're talking about Nintendo games that are as well made and as Nintendo-esque as this. But the spiders, there is a mission where you have to fight a giant spider, and then there's spiders dropping down in 3D in front. I mean, it's fucking spidery, and that bothered me.
It's like kids' graphics and stuff, you know, like all cartoony graphics.
Yeah, like the spider's got a little sort of, you know, a relatively sort of affable face. But you can hoover all the little ones up. So
oh god, even just you saying hoovering up the little ones has made me flinch. Then I'm sorry, I'm a massive baby with this stuff. You want to see it when there's a spider in our house? Me and the missus just kick off, scream at each other for which one's going to take it out. I could tell that you didn't like spiders because on last week's show, when one wandered into the room, he said to John, quite seriously, "Do you want to sort that out?"
Yeah. But it is like, yeah, spiders are bad news. They're fucking horrendous. They're more scared of you than you are of it. Bullshit. They want us all dead, and one day it will happen.
If they were more scared of me than I was of them, why are they not running over to the nearest newspaper and trying to hit me with?
Yeah. And why are they in my fucking gaff?
Yeah, get out of my house.
Yeah. But I hate spiders as much as you. It didn't bother me that much. Luigi's Mansion is the 3DS is fucking tremendous. I mean, it's a proper old school meaty succulent Nintendo game. Fucking get it if you have a 3DS. You have to.
Can't wait to play it. Is it longer than the first one? Because the first one, the main problem was that it was a very, very short game.
It was short. I mean, I read the review. I can't remember which website it was. It really fucking wound me up because the review started. Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube was fine, but it was only fucking 4 hours long. No, it fucking wasn't. It was considerably longer than that. This whole fucking 4 hours thing is just it's like a myth. It's something that got said by a PlayStation 2 nutter back in the day, and it's just been repeated endlessly since then. Considerably longer. I'd say probably over 10 hours. But nice. Then again, there are so many secrets, and it's a world that you will just want to explore. And it's a couple of bits are laugh out loud funny. It's adorable. Love it. Fucking love it. It honestly, honest to God, it's a must buy if you have a 3DS.
Gaming's well good this year, isn't it?
Jesus. It is. No doubt about it.
Okay, my number one game is a game called Bottle Cap Blitz, which might, confuse a few people. But basically, my favourite iOS developer is a developer called Big Pixel Studios. They did Pio Blocks, they did Landa Panda. What was the other one they did? They did a dog one. But you should just check them out because all their games are amazing. This is a game they've not released yet, but they've sort of just slipped me a copy, and I can't stop playing it because it's so fucking good. And right, okay, so the game is you see a hand at the bottom of the screen, and there's a bottle cap in it, as if he's going to flick it, this hand, and then ice gets chucked across the screen, and you touch the screen where you want the guy to flick the bottle cap, and the idea is to try and smash the ice. And it smashes through the ice, so you can get chains and combos and stuff. And the first couple of plays that you think the aesthetic looks terrible, you think it's far too basic. It looks like a sort of game that would have come out, like been released by Foster's, the Foster's web team or something. And you can unlock the Foster's Gold bottle cap, and then you realise that the reason why it looks so basic is because it's to keep the screen clear, because the more you play, the more shit it throws at you. And all of a sudden, these rocks that are being thrown, you've got to avoid the rocks, right, that have a massive red outline, don't look stupid anymore. You're actually happy that they're there, because even without looking at them, you know that they're on the screen because they're so bold compared to the ice that's being chucked. And the beautiful thing about Big Pixel is that they make a game so solid. Everything, the frame rate stays, it doesn't fuck up. There's no crashes. There's no. The rules to every game are very simple but completely balanced. It's got this fantastic thing that we've seen in loads of games before, where you use power-ups. You can spend money on power-ups before a round, but they've tweaked it so well that you can only probably get about 2 or 3 rounds in with 3 power-ups, because that's your maximum. That's how many slots you've got open. And then after that, you have to grind away at a few non-power-upped rounds to earn some money to spend them on power-ups again. But even on the games where you're just grinding, you can beat your score that you've earned by using all these power-ups and stuff. Yeah. Then there's like fruit hidden in some ice, and they activate special powers, like it'll freeze the screen, all the ice will freeze on the screen, and you can work out the best combinations. Or you go into bullet time, so you can do near misses with rocks that are being thrown. It's so fucking good. I love that company so much, and they've created yet another masterpiece. It's just, and I said this to them, I'm a little bit worried that there's people like you and I, because I don't think I would have played on had I not known who made it. And I'm a little bit worried that a few people like you and I will play a couple of games and go, oh, this is bullshit, and then put it down, and not get to the, not level up enough to see the game open up before your eyes. Oh, fuck. Yeah, get it when it comes out. Just keep an eye on Twitter, because I'll be talking about it a lot.
Yeah, shit, that sounds really interesting. Why does Big Pixel really ring a bell? Have they only done iOS games?
Pio Blocks, yeah, they have, yeah. Pio Blocks was their biggest game. Pio Blocks 2, if you haven't got that, get that, because Pio Blocks 2 is my favourite iOS game of all time. It's basically Zookeeper, but it's so refined. If you go back and play Zookeeper now, you'll think, well, this feels like a game that was knocked up in 5 minutes. It does the combos perfectly and this, that, and the other. Then it did this game called Land of Panda, which is another game you should absolutely check out. I think they're very cheap or free, and that's it's basically based around the explosion barrels in Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Where you fire off, and it's a puzzle game based around that idea. And you play through it, and you're like, oh, this is a nice little puzzle game, and then you realise that it's not really based on how many points you get. It's based on how fast you can do it. Then all of a sudden, you look at a basic level, and you think, hold on, I can miss these 3 barrels by angling this just right and get the panda over into that barrel over there instantly, saving 3 or 4 seconds. And that's when the game opens up again. It's like, shit, this is really multi-layered. And it's got some panda tits in it, so you get extra points for that. Yeah, they're brilliant company, and they're London based as well. And when you play their games, you'll think they're Japanese because their art style is all like that. Apart from this Bottle Cap Blitz, but one for the future. And if you do play it, if you do see it in the store, if you do download it, give it at least 5 rounds before deciding what you think this game is, because I assure you it opens up and becomes amazing.
Wow. Okay, all right. When's it actually out then to the public?
I don't know. I know he was showing it around GDC this week. I think it's close to coming out, but I know that they're still working on a few bug fixes. This is the other thing about them. They make sure that they iron out everything before they release it. It's so easy now to think, we'll release this, see if people are interested. If they're not, we don't have to work on the bugs. If they are, we'll sit down and look at them. Whereas Big Pixel sort of think, I think they have a lot more respect for their audience, and they go, no, let's iron it out before we release it. I just love them.
Fair play. I assume you don't know what it will cost.
No, it has got in-app purchases in it. It's never needed. It really isn't needed. But if you want to chuck them a couple of quid, then you can use them. I suggested they should use a. I don't know if I can say this. They didn't say to me. I suggested that they use a custom, so you could create your own bottle caps, because there's no licensed stuff in there. It's all bottle caps they've designed. And we were like, oh, wouldn't it be wicked if you could take a photo and wrap that around a bottle cap, and then you could do paint shop stuff, and then import it onto your phone, and then wrap that around the bottle cap and create your own ones and stuff. That's the sort of thing that you should be able to pay for on top of it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's only aesthetic. It doesn't change how the game plays at all. But if you paid £1, you can create your own bottle caps and have them in the game. That would be awesome.
Are they going to go with that then?
I don't know. They like the idea, so hopefully. But I'd love to see that, because I'd definitely pay extra for that. Wicked.
Yeah, that sounds really intriguing. Fuck, that sounds really interesting.
It's just a brilliant arcade game, and I'll push you to download it when it comes out. Definitely.
Cool. Yeah, do that. Sweet. Yeah. Okay, my number 1 is Bioshock Infinite. We've already spoken about it. It is a grade A fucking knockout. You just have to play it. If you're listening to this, you have to play it. Just get hold of it. It's not, and do it before somebody fucking ruins it for you.
Absolutely. You're on a time limit now. From listening to this, you're on a time limit till you hear your first spoiler.
Yeah.
And for you not to have that in, by playing the game, then you're going to miss that.
Yeah, it's shit. I mean, it's stunning. It's stunning. I just like what it is. It's something that every person who plays video games can understand. It is a shooter, and it's an excellent shooter. That's what it is. But within it, it's got this fascinating. I mean, fucking hell! It's you have to play it. It's fucking stunning. I mean, I hate to bring up Django Unchained again, but because I've brought it up on this podcast way too many times. But it's my favourite film ever. So fuck it. That's a film that people had a fucking right dig at Tarantino because he came out and said, "Oh, people are talking about slavery again." he didn't mean people who read broadsheet newspapers and who are politically active and all that stuff. He means people who would never have been talking about it had he not have made that film. And I dragged a mate of mine to see that film, and we had the most fascinating chat on the tube home. And he's not somebody that would never have happened without it. And there are things that are brought up in Bioshock Infinite, and they're brought up so well, but it's in the framework of a shooter. So Ken Levine could have made a really, really high-minded and difficult art game that the wrong stroke of the right audience could have been like, oh yes, oh god, you must play this. It's like, this is a shooter. Do you want to shoot things? Yes, you fucking do. But within it tells this incredible story. I mean, I haven't even got to the fucking end yet.
I know, it's hard to like sort of say get it now, and not even completed it. But
yeah. Get it now. How far through? Oh yeah, 2 hours. Oh well, it might. It blatantly is. I can tell you that what I've played, which is probably 8 hours or so, it just gets better and better, and it keeps pulling things out of the fucking hat. It's stunning, a fucking stunning achievement, and at the same time as I can't wait to get to the end, I'm dreading getting to the end because you can only play this once, and that's a fucking shame. It's refined to fuck. Oh, I love it. Shit.
I think I'm going to just go and play it now. I think it's the only thing I can do.
Yeah, you know what? Me too.
Good.
Okay, well, that is us done. Thank you very much for listening. As usual, if you want go on Twitter. Me and John are on Twitter. John Dent and Chet Roivers, and then Chet and John's if you want a weekly shout about when the podcast is coming out. Dave obviously is on Twitter as well. At David, is it at Dave Turner's or David Turner's?
At David Turner's.
David Turner with an S on the end because Dave's a fucking kook.
Wacky.
Plug something, Dave. Would you? You've got Joypod coming up.
Yeah, search Joypod on iTunes and listen to that. A Joypod presented by Spong.com is the official name. So listen to that. That comes out every now and then.
Yeah. So next week there'll be a new one, right?
There should be. Yeah, if I could be bothered. The problem is because there's a bank holiday next week, we usually forget and then not do one of it till the week after. But we're on a roll of doing them every other week at the moment, so maybe we'll be back. That'd be good.
Okay, good.
Can I just do one thing before we go?
Go.
I want to do it. Shots fired.
Yeah, I've tried to not do that because I don't want it to turn into our catchphrase. But
I mean, it's more editing, but it doesn't matter. Shots fired. Fuck you, Chet.
All right, thanks for that. Appreciate it. Thanks very much for listening. See you next week. Peace out.
Bye.
Close the theater? Why? Because there's a war on? Bastards!